Today, you're gonna find out how I take Dollar Tree supplies and take them from cheap to classy. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Courtney. Today I have got some awesome Christmas DIYs for you. I cannot wait for you to see these, so let's get crafting. You want to start off with one of these wooden pieces from Dollar Tree, this trim piece here. And then you can also grab one of their square wooden pieces if you want to. I just had this scrap wood in my stash, so I decided to use that instead of buying another piece of wood essentially like it. But it's about 4.5 inches by 5.5 inches, just to give you an idea of that piece of wood. You'll also want to grab some of these wooden Christmas trees. Now, you don't have to grab these if you don't want to. I got these from Hobby Lobby, a 6-pack. It came to $3 for these 6 trees. You could definitely make some pipe cleaner trees if you saw my video on how I did that pipe cleaner tree. So there are Dollar Tree options you can grab. And I'm going to start by staining both pieces of my wood with some brown wax, and then I'm going to do those Christmas trees that have a visible trunk. I'm going to also use the brown wax on that. While my pieces of wood were drying, I grabbed 3 different shades of green and decided to paint 2 trees with each color. And I didn't do the same tree because there's 3 pairs of 2 trees, if that makes sense. So I did make sure to do different trees with each color, and I gave them all just 1 coat because I am going for more of a rustic distressed vibe for this project, because I'm about to do my favorite authentic looking chippy techniques next. So here is the technique. I have used it before on my channel. I just personally feel like this really gives a chippy look because you do kind of get that depth and dimension, because as you can see I'm doing here, you want to take a candle and you want to rub wax all over your wood pieces, making sure that any little clumps of wax that end up on there, that you kind of smush them down and get them off. You don't want any little blobs of wax, but you want to cover all of the stained portion with this wax. So I did that to both pieces of wood. The next thing I'm going to do is take the color Plaster by Waverly Chalk Paint, and I'm going to paint on a pretty thick coat. I want it to have nice full coverage over my wax piece here. Now you're going to let this dry almost completely, but you want to let it dry till it's a little bit tacky. Once it gets to that point, you want to take some type of scraper and you're just going to start scraping and chipping away at where you want it to look chippy. And I usually like to do the edges of the piece of wood, and then I kind of go back and forth. You can go different directions. I mean, really, you could do anything. You guys might remember that nice tray that I made for my dining room table. I use this same technique for that. I'll link that video down below if you're looking to make a nice big display tray for Christmas time or something. But this is really just a wonderful technique to get that chippy look. Now that those are all chipped up, the next thing is you want to grab this free printable. I will link it down below in the description box along with everything else from today's video. I printed this out just on regular paper because I wanted to make sure that this kind of looked seamless with the board and with cardstock. I just didn't want that little bit of a, kind of raised up look. So I use regular paper. You can use cardstock. It's up to you. This paper kind of has rough edges, so I'm just trying to cut it to make it look like that. And then I'm going to attach this to my board just using a glue stick. I'm not going to use Mod Podge just because, like I said, I printed it on regular copy paper, and for me, I feel like it's just better to use a good amount of a glue stick. So that's what I do to get that attached. It's time to attach my Oh Christmas Tree block to the base. So I'm just using hot glue to get that centered and attached to the base. Then 2 of these little Christmas trees had balls on top. So I took my gold paint pen, just kind of a muted color, and I just colored in those balls so that they wouldn't just be plain wood. And then I'm attaching 3 trees on each side of my Oh Christmas Tree music. I'm just using some hot glue to get those secured down to the base. Now, I had thought about adding some greenery. I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to leave it plain. You know, at this point, it's kind of just your own creative decision what you want to do, but I thought it would look cute if I added a pop of color. So I took some red velvet ribbon that I got in a big spool from Amazon, and I just made a bow and then kind of did the tails and anchored them to the board to kind of make them look wavy. And then that's it. I absolutely love this piece. It's going to go next to my piano, and you definitely could do more things to it, like add fairy lights and take it a little further if you wanted to, but I absolutely love how this one turned out. Some tumbling tower blocks and some wooden beads is what you will need for this next project. So one of the tumbling tower blocks I'm going to paint with some brown paint, going for full coverage. The second one, I'm going to trim a little piece off the top, about 1/4 of an inch maybe. Save that little piece because you will need it. And then I'm going to paint that one full coverage with some darker green paint. Now it's time to grab those wooden beads, and we are going to hot glue those to one end of our tumbling tower blocks using some hot glue to get those secure. Once the beads are on, you want to grab either some burlap fabric or ribbon. I'm just going to use some ribbon because that's what I've got on hand, and we are going to make some head coverings here, and I'm going to start by tacking it to the top of the wooden bead, then pull it down on the sides and tack it to the sides, and then trim any extra. The back, I do kind of want it to lay sort of flat, so I am just going to use hot glue to kind of manipulate the back to get it looking how I want it to, and I will do this for both of these tumbling tower blocks. Remember that piece of tumbling tower block that we trimmed off and I told you to save? Well, now you want to take a smaller wooden bead and glue that to that piece of tumbling tower block. This is going to be a little baby Jesus. I've got a piece of white fabric scrap here, and I'm just going to fray it a little bit, then wrap it around and secure it with some hot glue around that wooden piece with the bead that I just glued on there. The next step is to take your Joseph and Mary and hot glue them together. Then taking the baby Jesus, I'm also going to hot glue that kind of at an angle across the front of both of these. Now you've got two options here. So originally I was going to use one of these filling ornaments. I used those in my book ornament that I showed you guys a couple weeks ago. I got a huge pack of them from Amazon, but I am going to be using a Dollar Tree snow globe. So when you unscrew the bottom portion of the snow globe, there is this little white cap. That's if you actually decide to put water in it, that seals it all up there. So for that cap, what I'm doing is taking some raffia and I'm shredding it up, and I'm going to hot glue it down to that cap. If you have mini hay bales, that would work here as well, but I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take my Joseph and Mary and hot glue that directly to the center of this little base. Now, I decided it needed a stable, so I took some popsicle sticks. I ended up using 3, and I trimmed them down, and I just kind of pieced together a stable. I made a little roof on it by just trimming pieces of popsicle stick. I secured it in the back, and I painted the entire thing with some brown wax. With the stable drying, I took a gold paint pen. I started with my fine tip, and I just at the very top wrote "Oh Holy Night" in cursive. Then I went back in with my thicker gold paint pen and just traced over that. I did end up adding some little sparkly stars to it. And at that point, I was ready to assemble my stable in there. So I did hot glue that down into the base. And I also tacked Joseph and Mary with a little bit of hot glue to the stable to hold it in place. And then I screwed the bottom back on. To finish up this project, I grabbed some fairy lights that I got in a pack, and originally I wrapped them all the way around the little battery pack, but then I realized that when I put this in the cap, I guess, of the snow globe, that the ones on the bottom aren't really going to show. So I unwrapped it, and then I just kind of willy-nilly shoved them in there, and then I screwed the top portion of the snow globe back on there. Now, I thought I had some gold spray paint. I was going to spray the white cap with that just to finish this off, but I didn't. So what I ended up doing was just taking a piece of that burlap ribbon, and it was so stiff that I was able to just take a piece, wrap it around, and I can just set this snow globe inside of that, and it kind of raises it up a little bit. And I added a twine bow. Now you could wrap ribbon around there as well. I mean, so many different options as far as finishing it off, but I like the little extra light feature, and I just think this turned out so cute. Want to grab 3 wooden dice and one of these wood slice ornaments from Dollar Tree. The wood slice ornament is going to stay its natural color, but the 3 dice are going to get painted with some white chalk paint. Taking one of the wooden dice and a black paint pen, you're going to draw on 2 black eyes. For the carrot nose, I wanted a 3D element, so what I did was I grabbed a popsicle stick and I actually used my tin snips to trim down a carrot shape. Once I got it exactly how I liked it, I used an orange paint marker to color the nose, and then I went in and did 5 black dots for the mouth. For the snowman hat, I grabbed one of these off a 4-pack that I got from Hobby Lobby, but remember that snowman kit I showed you? You could grab one of those beanies if you ordered that snowman kit, and I hot glued that to the top of the snowman head, and then I hot glued these 3 wooden blocks together to make my full snowman. For the scarf, I grabbed some of this fabric that I had in my stash that originally came from Hobby Lobby. I cut a piece of that and then I frayed the edges to use that again as the scarf. I wrapped it around the snowman neck and I used a little bit of hot glue to tack it into place. For the buttons, I wanted brown buttons, but I did not have the size I needed, so I grabbed 3 different white buttons and I used a brown paint pen to get those changed in color. Once they were dry, I hot glued those to the snowman, putting 2 of the brown buttons on that center wooden block and then 1 on the bottom block. I wanted the snowman to have a little bit of glistening snow, so I took a little bit of that Dollar Tree snow and some hot glue and put a little bit on the top of one of the buttons. I also did a couple of patches of the snow on the snowman's hat. And I also took that wooden round and along the outside of the wooden round, I added some of the Dollar Tree snow there as well. Then I just hot glued my snowman down to the base, and the last thing I decided to do was add some arms. So I used my awl and poked 2 holes on that middle block, and using some of the Dollar Tree Winter Branch Floral, I just trimmed 2 of those down to make the little arms and hot glued those in there, and then that's it. This little snowman would be perfect. You could use it as place settings by adding names to the top, maybe with a little wire, or you could turn this into an ornament. So many options, and you can definitely make different versions of snowmen. For this project, I am using something that I picked up on clearance from Hobby Lobby. I saw it and knew exactly what I wanted to use it for, but what you'll want to do is pick up a piece of foam board from Dollar Tree, and honestly, there's an advantage to doing that because you'll be able to size this just perfectly, and I'll show you what I mean about that in just a minute. So the first thing I did was take this and I gave it a good coat of white paint all over. You could spray paint it if you prefer, but I just used Waverly White chalk paint. The next thing I wanted to do was add a little sparkle to this, so I am just using some of this sparkle Mod Podge for the less messy option, but you definitely could add glitter, you could add the Dollar Tree snow, totally up to you, but I definitely wanted to kind of keep the glitter flying around at a minimum. So that's what I chose, and I did one good coat of this all over my side. So now what I'm going to do is paint some half wooden beads. And this is one of my favorite hacks on painting beads to kind of keep them in place. I counted the scallops on this and there were a total of 12. So just maybe take a quick screenshot of the shape of this if you want to create this exactly, but your arch can look however you want. But like I said, there are 12 scallops, so I needed 12 half wooden beads, and I decided to paint 6 of them with red metallic acrylic paint, and then the other 6 are going to get painted with some green metallic paint. Another option that you can do is obviously find some embellishments. Hobby Lobby has great ones. Michael's, you might be able to find some from Dollar Tree. So you could do peppermints, you could do candy canes. So you could definitely embellish this however you want to. But I just took my half wooden beads and I attached them to each of the scallops just using some hot glue. So because my kitchen is a total gingerbread themed kitchen, this is where this piece is going to be going, and I'm using just some of these Velcro 3M picture hangers to get this put up. Now, earlier I mentioned that using Dollar Tree foam board, there was an advantage because you could size it right. Well, originally when I bought this, I was like, oh, this will fit right on top of my pantry door and it'll look like I'm framing out the door. Yeah, it didn't fit because my crown molding came down a little too low and it didn't work. So it barely fit on my pantry door and I couldn't raise it up where I wanted it to go on the door just because of the door stopper. So next year I might have to do a little tweaking of this sign, but I do love how it turned out, and I just attached one of my little gingerbread wreaths to it, and I just think this is such a cute thing that you could add to any of the doors, above the doors, on the doors, just to add a little more Christmas spirit to your home. This Dollar Tree DIY will take you no time at all, and you can customize it. It's a great DIY to do with grandchildren, children, craft night. You can make tons of them while you just sit and watch a movie. So you want to grab some of these Dollar Tree snowflakes. I started by painting this one with some white Waverly chalk paint, but you definitely could pull in some silver. You could paint some light blue ones. Totally up to you. Once it was painted, I pulled out my letter beads. I got a huge set of these beads on Amazon for a really good price. I will definitely link it down below. And I decided for this one, I was just going to spell out the word snow. Now, if you want to personalize this, you could get the letters to spell out someone's name. And then what will end up happening is you're making this ornament, but you can also use it as a gift tag on a gift that you give to somebody. So it's kind of like a little bonus gift that somebody might get. Once it was all painted, I did attach those 4 beads to spell out the word snow with some hot glue. And then I decided it does need sparkle, and I busted out, believe it or not, some glitter. I used Mod Podge and sprinkled on some glitter to give it that little extra shine. And then you can attach a ribbon, you could attach some twine, whatever you want to use. And again, it's a great little gift tag to attach to a present and just give kind of an extra little gift to somebody that you care about. And freeze frame right here. If you follow me on Instagram, you know why I'm doing this. Well, the bottom line is I lost this ornament. I made it, I set it down somewhere in my house, and I lost it before I was able to do beauty shots. So here you go. This is what this ornament turned out to look like. That's going to wrap up these Dollar Tree Christmas DIYs. Let me know down below which one of these projects was your favorite. Also, let me know, do you have a favorite Christmas movie that you always kick the season off with? For me, I always start with Elf, followed by White Christmas. Let me know if you do that, or do you have a certain thing that just kicks off the season for you? I would love to know. Maybe you bake cookies, maybe you go Christmas shopping. What kicks off the holiday season for you? Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Here are some more videos you might want to check out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!